This is a PokePress special report. Hi, I'm Stephen Reich here at the PokePress PIRN Studios in Madison, Wisconsin. I'm on the phone with John Loeffler, whose company Rave Music has been working making Pokemon music for the series for basically since it started coming to America in '98. So John, first of all, talk a little bit about yourself. How did you get into doing music and songwriting and whatnot?
Okay. By the way, I'm very excited to talk about Pokemon, and especially the first couple of years, it was an amazingly exciting time for me to be involved and watch something just kind of unfold the way it did. But I graduated from college in the 70s, and Williams College in Massachusetts, and was just committed. One of those kind of crazy guys that said, I'm going to New York City to try to be a songwriter. And my parents obviously thought I was completely out of my mind. And a lot of my musician friends who had supported me in this decision until graduation day all panicked and went and kind of started pursuing more traditional jobs. But I came to New York, and of course I had to survive, so I got a job as a waiter. And within a year or so, it was a very difficult first couple of years just trying to figure out how New York City worked, how the subways worked, how you begin to even interact with other musicians or music companies. And through happenstance, one day I was asked to go to a birthday party, which was a tennis playing birthday party outside Manhattan. And I played tennis with a guy who said that he was a director. And he asked me what I did. I said, well, I'm trying to be a songwriter. He said, well, then you should come up to my company and see some of my work. So I thought I would be seeing films, motion pictures. And he proceeded to show me a reel of TV commercials. Coca-Cola, big extravaganza. This is in the heyday of jingles. And it turns out he, at the age of 30, was one of the leading TV commercial directors. And he also became a very good friend, and we ended up being tennis partners and good friends and sharing a house together in the summertime. And he mentored me and basically introduced me to a company that hired me to start doing music for TV commercials. And I was about 24, 25, and for the next 15 years, actually, I was one of the 20, 30 people that did a lot of commercials, to the point that I was doing sometimes 3, 4 a week. And I became, during this period, a music director at Great Advertising, and I helped oversee their whole music department, which was just thousands of commercials. And that led to my having a Rave, a production company that could not only help with the commercials, but also was available to do other things. And I had 5 or 6 other composers on location in our studios, and it was a blast. And everybody was just working on any project that would come in across our desk. And about this period of time, I started doing some television work. And I did a TV sitcom called Kate and Allie. And it was a different economic model, because when you do commercials, you basically got paid more if you sang on it. And since I am a singer, it worked well. You would get residuals. But in TV work, you get royalties based on performance of the show. And Kate and Allie ended up running for 8 or 10 years. I wrote it with a friend, Ralph Shuckett. And that week of composing for that series made a pretty good penny. So I did some other shows after that, but I started developing relationships with TV producers. And this young, inspiring guy named Norman Grossfeld, who had worked at NBC and was suddenly working for a new production company called 4 Kids. So we had this cartoon show, and there's no money. We got it from Japan, and we're going to put on new dialogue. We're going to basically reposition the show with a Western angle rather than a Japanese angle, and there might be an opportunity to do some music. And I just said, sure. And our production, we ended up doing at least 10 shows for free. And, you know, then it was like one of those miracles that happened. I mean, Pokemon just exploded. And suddenly, you know, the kids in Japan were loving it. Suddenly, American kids were loving it. There was Topps trading card phenomenon. And it just became this phenomenon overnight. And they got a big commitment from the WB network. Yeah, WB network. And 4 Kids' responsibility was to retranslate it. And Norman and I had become good friends. And at this point, I had become a pretty accomplished songwriter. And he said, let's take advantage of this opportunity. Let's write a theme. And then as the series kicked in, he said, "Are you up for writing songs?" And I said, "Send me as many opportunities as possible. Nothing I would love more than to write songs with my various writers and friends in the company, because I love writing songs. It'd be a blast. But I don't want to write children's songs. I want to write more songs that would work on an album for an adult." And so we proceeded to transform the soundtrack of this Pokemon from just basic instrumental music that was created in Japan, and we created this extravagant, really lush score for the cartoon show. And since it's anime, and since the style of the anime is pretty flat, we decided to compensate for that by making the music very dramatic and using a lot of instruments to make it sound lush and big, which would kind of then enhance the lack of animation depth. And then songs, Norman said, "Let's go for it." So we started writing songs. Whenever there's an opportunity in the show, he would open up 30 seconds, 45 seconds, and we would put a song in. And we proceeded to create a thing called Pikachu's Jukebox at the end of the show, where every day we'd have a little 30-second clip of one of the songs, and it was repeated every day. So kids began asking more and more about what is this music. And I got the opportunity to write an album's worth of stuff, and we wrote all those songs in 3.5 weeks.
Really?
3.5 weeks. I had like 5 guys who I really liked and really talented guys who worked for me, and basically almost like a doctor's office. Each room had a different song going at the same time. And, I was co-writing with everybody because A, was my company, and B, I had a very good handle on what I wanted lyrically from the songs. And every guy exceptionally talented, and boom, in 3.5 weeks, we had basically the album done. And it proceeded to sell over the next 2 years more than 3 million copies worldwide. It was like we couldn't believe it. And then Norman, you need a company as a composer. You need a producer, and you need a production company that really respects and likes original music as much as a musician would. Because he really was the one that created the opportunity. He's the one that would kind of re-edit the show so there'd be a place for music. And of course, when that many children watching this series, it's just like a TV commercial. So it's very much based on my experience in commercials. Just like a TV commercial, the more it's played, if it's a well-written song, the more kids remember it, the more they want to hear it more, and there's built-in demand for it. And the 4 kids did a great job promoting the series, building the series, and building this brand with music attached to it. It just kind of created itself after that.
I see. So they decided to make an album partway through when they were working within the first year or so. Were any of the particular songs more interesting to write?
No, I hate to say it, but not really. I mean, a song wouldn't get on the album if we all collectively didn't really like it. There were a lot of songs that we started that just weren't working for whatever reason, and we just kind of discarded them and went back. By the end, we wanted to have a couple rock songs. We wanted to have a couple ballads. In my head, almost, I was imagining a soundtrack for a movie almost. I wasn't thinking just for the cartoon show or the series. I was thinking about, this is a great opportunity to come up with a collection of songs, each one that could stand on its own, and each one, and they're real songs too. Like I said, they're not songs one would traditionally think for a cartoon show. We were writing real songs with real good session singers, and we just took a broad swipe of kind of ballads and rock tunes, a couple dance tracks. Oftentimes we would use certain characters as inspiration. I mean, we're talking now about 12, 13 years ago, so I can't remember everything, but I do know that we would take certain characters and that would kind of, or a certain dramatic interaction that's going on between 2 characters, and suddenly that would be the genesis for the song, or the idea for the song. And then we would imagine, well, if this were in a movie, what would that song be like? And that's kind of how we came up with the different themes.
No, that's pretty cool.
Very cool. I got to tell you, in hindsight, I wish I could do it more.
Do you know how some of the artists were chosen for some of the songs?
They were just all session singers that I already worked with. They were all part of the New York City session singers that sang on commercials. They were all working on their own albums, and they're all people that I worked with. and they were all in New York. And at the heyday of jingles, they were all making a good living because every product in TV usually had a song attached to it at the time. So it was like a golden moment in commercial songwriting. So everybody that was here, I mean, the young kids coming up right now, I feel badly for them because there's no opportunity nearly this interesting, financially or creatively, as that moment when we were all working together and everybody's going from studio to studio and everybody's coming in with new ideas, and it was just this great hotbed of creativity. It was a really exciting time.
Well, those are some great recollections. I mean, a lot of people obviously have the album, but it's great that you were able to help them hear some of the story behind the album. Now, more recently, first of all, you just finished recording the theme for season 15 of the anime. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about it.
Well, it's all based on the new game, which is the Black and White series, which started season 14, and I thought we wrote a really good song called Black or White, which is the theme for last season. And in fact, it's a 3-year series that they project that they're going to do based on these two games, the Black and the White game in Pokémon. And I thought the song last year worked so well that I really strongly thought that we should keep that song for another season. Because one of the things we did do earlier in Pokémon is we would keep You Got to Catch Them All. We'd keep some aspect of that. And we kept that for at least 5 years, or some form of that. You might do a different introduction, and you come back to the same chorus, or you might have a different singer. You might change the arrangement, maybe a couple of different lyrics. But we try to keep, like an advertising campaign, try to keep the theme, because that's the theme that all the kids were remembering. Right now, there is a little bit of a tendency for every season to kind of start from fresh, which ends up being great for me because it gives me another chance to write another fun song. But season 15 really was hoping to kind of keep the most of last year's song. And Pokemon USA felt very strongly that they wanted a new song. And of course, now that we finished it, called Rival Destinies for the new season, I like the song very much. I'm glad they pushed me because it turned out great. We just finished it a couple days ago.
Who sings it?
I got Alex Knockman, who you spoke to on the phone, who worked with me on that song "Follow Your Star" at the end of the DVD that we just finished in December. A girl named Catherine Rayo, and she's a really great session singer in New York, a young girl, and I haven't used her before, except that she worked on one of the variations of "Follow Your Star" for the DVD, and she did such a great job. Again, since there's two aspects of this game, there's the black and the white, we decided to do these as duets.
Well, that's really cool, and thank you. And actually, why don't you talk a little bit about a few of the other things you've been working on recently?
Well, okay. So first of all, we're creating a new soundtrack for Pokemon right now. We're heavily involved in not only the songs, but we're actually writing a lot of new instrumental background score. And I've been working with Manny Corello, who's been one of the composers I've been working with since season 1. So for 15 years, we've been working together on the underscore part of Pokemon. So that's been a big part of what I've been working on. And then in addition, I've been working a lot with NASCAR Media, and they've done several dramatic documentaries. And we just did one on Herschel Walker for ESPN in the fall, late November. A guy named Tim Richmond, which is a very dramatic story about the first driver who died of AIDS. And so I've been doing dramatic independent films. I've been doing commercials and jingles. I've been doing Pokemon. And now I'm in the middle of starting a new label with BMG Music called Fieldhouse, which is for the first time not music I'm writing, but we're looking for really great undiscovered artists, especially singer-songwriters, looking for an opportunity to get them in soundtracks for movies or TV series as a launching pad for them to get more exposure so eventually they can get their own record contract.
That's great. Now, do you have a website that people can look at or anything like that?
Well, the Fieldhouse, I do. For Rave, I don't really have an active one because traditionally my clients are people I've worked with for a long time and they just call me up and it doesn't seem to be that necessary. But Fieldhouse, I have a website, which is fieldhouse-music.com. and it's been launched for about 4 months, and we already have about 16 artists on there. And you can see kind of what I've been working on a lot when I'm not doing Pokemon.
Well, that's great to hear, John. So thank you very much for being on the program. Hopefully in the future we can get some more interviews and talk about some of the later music in the series.
I would love that. Thank you so much. A great opportunity to talk to you. I'm totally impressed that you know so much about Pokemon. I can't believe it. It's fabulous.
Well, thank you very much, John. This has been Stephen Reich from the PokePress PIRN Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, on the phone with John Loeffler, whose company Rave Music has been producing music for the Pokemon TV show for basically since it came over. This has been a PokePress Special Report.